So, Heavenly Father, once again I come to you, one more week, one more entry, asking you that you're with me as I speak. Lord, let this be something that helps others, helps me move forward, helps me see more clearly as I journal this life of mine that you've gifted to me. So continue to be with me every step of the way. Give me the boldness, give me the bravery, give me the courage to speak what I need to speak, and let it just help somebody else as much as it helps me. In Jesus' name, amen. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to JM Journal. Julian here, obviously, for another entry 9. We're here another week, another time to talk and gist. But first and foremost, I need to start here.
The church is in mourning. Glory to God. The church is in mourning. Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. The church is in mourning. Good God Almighty, another soldier, a true-born soldier, has gone home. Hallelujah. Well, we're here.
England got knocked out of the World Cup at the quarterfinal stage, and I am officially in mourning. For those of you that follow me on Instagram at IM_JD Morgan, you would have seen my post on Saturday night saying I was in mourning. A lot of people ask me why it's so important, and I can't even really give an answer, but there's just something about World Cups, it's something about the Euros that I just get invested in, even though every time, as long as I remember going back, from the first like international tournament I remember distinctly from 1998, when I saw David Beckham get sent off and I saw David Batty miss that penalty in the penalty shootout. This England team has let me down all the way. And a lot of my friends, a lot of my black friends especially, they're always like, why are you supporting England for? And I just do, I like what it brings, especially as I've got older and I've been able to go out to like bars and all that kind of stuff, to be in the atmosphere and all that good stuff. I just find it fun. But genuinely, we lost on Saturday and it hurt, man, because I genuinely thought we could win. I genuinely thought this is the one. Like, I'm gonna see this happen. I'm gonna see us win, and then potentially, quite likely, go to another final, and then get to maybe win as well. I really believe we had the squad to win. So another 4 years. It hurt, man. It really, really hurt. Like, if I was to show you the video of when Harry Kane missed that penalty, you would hear everything come out of my body when he missed.
It's Kane.
So yeah, that's where we're starting today. RIP England's hopes 2022. Cha. So yeah, another entry. I don't envisage this being long because it's been a decent week. It's been, not saying that it's only going to be long when there's bad things happening, but it's just been a really decent week, and I don't want to rinse stuff that I don't need to rinse. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's been a good week. Obviously a lot going on at work. With declaration coming up, so I'm project managing a project at work, which is a week-long prayer event for Tier Fund called Declaration. So first of all, if you want to know information about it, then check out the URL, which will appear somewhere here. And also, if you are in London in January, then come down to TBN Studios and check it out. It's going to be great. Should be really, really fun, especially in the evenings, where we've got a live TV show. And even if you're not in London, you can't be there physically, then, you can always join us online. So that's my little plug for work. Get some brownie points. But yeah, it's been a bit stressful because obviously it's a lot of different parts, a lot of different things going on. And for someone that tries to be methodical in everything that he does, when there's so many different arms and especially having 3 weeks off, like right in the midst of the most intense period of it, it's just been quite hard to kind of get back into the flow of things. But things are falling into place, and just keep going. So yeah, it's just been good. Life's blessed, you know. I'm happy, man. I'm real good. I'm feeling real good about how things are at the moment, in every sense, you know, emotionally, etc. So I'm good, you know. But it's interesting though. So I was reflecting like last week, really. So I'm supposed to do it every day, but sometimes I don't wake up. But 7 a.m. I have a prayer call with some of my brothers, my boys. And boys, I'm so sorry that I haven't been on for the last couple of days. I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna get back on it. But I was sharing with them last week how I've been reading one of the books in the Bible, Jeremiah, and obviously you've gone through the Bible before, and you know you kind of skim stuff, but I was really just kind of taking it in at the moment. And sometimes I listen to it via the U version app, but obviously I'm reading it as well, and it's weird because obviously growing up in church, you know, people quote certain scriptures from Jeremiah. So it's Jeremiah 1:5 or Jeremiah 29, I think it is. Those two scriptures are like massive in Jeremiah, and they're really kind of like emotionally evoking scriptures about, you know, God seeing you from the beginning and calling you and like placing something on you from the beginning. But then I'm reading Jeremiah or going through Jeremiah, and I'm hearing an angry God. I'm seeing language that is very angry, and you know, oftentimes as Christians, I say we, 'cause I'm assuming I keep assuming that everybody's Christian, but you know, not everyone's Christian that's watching this. But as a Christian, you know, oftentimes we assume that, you know, God, like we have this perception of God of like peace and love and everything, and that's not to say that it's not the case. But when I'm reading Jeremiah, I'm like, yo, God really, when the Bible talks about God being a jealous God, this is real things. Not jealous in the sense of like how we are jealous, but you know, expecting us to give him what he deserves in terms of worship and praise, and our lives, you know, devotion, a life of devotion. And what you found was, you know, Jeremiah was really speaking the heart of God in terms of his annoyance at the Israelites for their constant disobedience, for their constant turning away, for their constant denial of a God that brought them out of Egypt, out from a God that has sustained them for a certain amount of time. And I remember saying to the boys on the call, I'm like, raw, I'm reading this and I'm hearing the language of how God said he was going to treat them. And it just made me grateful. And before someone goes, in the sense of, it made me grateful for the gift of salvation through Christ. It made me grateful for the fact that, you know, I, like the Israelites, have many times turned away, many times done my own thing, many times made my own idols, many times decided that my way was the better way, in spite of God's consistent grace over my life. Yet, because of Jesus, because of this ultimate sacrifice that he made for me, that I'm not gonna have that punishment. That God doesn't see me in that way because he sees me through the lens of righteousness because of the blood that was shed, you know, for the sacrifice, you know, because there ain't enough animals in the world, not enough seed or grain in the world to cover what I've done. And, you know, sometimes I think about like where I'm coming from genuinely in terms of my walk with Christ. And I think a lot of people might see where I am now compared to where I may have been before, and just wonder like, how did this happen? My understanding of Christ and understanding his love for me that saw him die ahead of time, where that fueled my walk with Christ a little bit more. You know, a lot of people might see or hear about things from before and be like, yo, how does this guy just change? And I can only say that it's God. I can only say that the heart posture that shifted, and that doesn't necessarily mean that all behaviors change straight away, but the heart posture changed, and that heart posture changing is what drives me further away from the previous life. You know, we're human, so we have fleshly desires, we have carnality that we battle, but I have an assurance through God that not only am I forgiven, but then also through the resurrection, I have power over these things. I have power over the urges. I have power over the battles that I do face. If there's one thing that I just want everybody to feel is that security and that assurance in that, in God. Do you know what I mean? And you know, a lot of people will say, "Well, that's what works for you," and I found something that works for me. And then, you know what? Like, I have my thought process and my thoughts towards what faith is and what my faith is, and I feel like maybe a generation past, they would go and beat down on somebody else's religion, you know, and I'm not into that as such. You know, I think I believe what I believe is true. Do you know what I mean? And my prayer and my hope is that other people come to that truth as well. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna beat down on their thing. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what causes mad division in this world. And some Christians might look at me like, "Oh, soft man, you know, you don't care about the gospel." And I do care about the gospel. I care about people experiencing the truth of Christ. Do you know what I'm trying to say? But there's one thing that I don't believe is that by beating down on somebody else, really, I don't think that shows the love of Christ. I feel like Christ had a way where he was able to bring the truth to light to people without causing hatred. I didn't see him just beating down on people. Do you know what I mean? And I feel a lot of times as Christians, in our quest to want to see people saved, our methodology has been incorrect. And it's not about being soft. It's not about being PC. It's about showing the love of Christ. And some people may disagree with me for that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not out here saying, I know what I believe. And I believe what I believe is the truth. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I believe it is the truth. But as I said, it's not about beating down anyone else. Yeah, just reading Jeremiah just made me really grateful for just like, yo, God, like you really had it. You had all right to mash us up, bro. And you have all right to mash us up, but you sent Christ to suffer in our stead. You know, sometimes as Christians, we think about the crucifixion and it's kind of like this fantasy thing. But like, I urge people, like, genuinely go and see. No, don't go and see it because YouTube will have stuff on there, like idiot, like, and you don't want to be traumatized. But like, maybe read about what happened when people were getting crucified, like what happened to the body and the pain that somebody would have gone through, and the fact that Christ took mad amount of stripes, mad amount of whips on our behalf first, then had to carry this big old log up a hill. Do you know what I mean? And then hang for hours. Do you know what I mean? It's mad. But yeah, I just encourage everyone, just keep reading, man. You know, it's such an enlightening piece of literature. And questions. I think it's important to ask questions. You know, one of the things that I found growing up that I wish I did more of was ask questions of my leaders. You know, there was lots of things I didn't understand. A lot of things I just went along without really questioning, and it's only through questioning and coming to an understanding through the answers, not through God, that I'm able to sit here. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't believe in blind. Okay, I don't believe in blind faith because there's elements of what we do is blind. But I don't believe in being uneducated in your decisions. I think people that just do because, you know, that's not really faith. Do you know what I mean? Because you don't know what you're actually sitting on, or leaning on, or standing on. Do you know what I mean? So if there are questions that need to be asked, then 100%. It's one thing I always say to my young people, and one thing I will always encourage with my young people: ask questions. I would rather you ask questions than try and go find the answers elsewhere, because outside of this space, some of the answers you're gonna get are crazy. Do you know what I mean? You know, how do I navigate puberty? How do I navigate my emotions? How do I navigate being horny as a teenager? How do I navigate being horny as an adult when, you know, God has said that it's only meant to be for this this institution of marriage? But biologically, physiologically, my body is aching for something. How do I navigate that? Do you know what I mean? Ask the questions, man. I think it's important that those spaces are provided, especially for new Christians, young Christians, any Christian really. And as a leader, that's something that I want to do. I want to be able to ensure that the environments that I am in, that people are allowed to ask questions. At church, so we have we work with the academic calendar with our young people. So every September we have like a new cohort of young people that come in. And I remember the first session that we did in September, we asked the question, like, what are the barriers to your faith? What are the barriers to you wanting to be a Christian? Or what are the barriers to you being able to live this Christian life? And some of the answers that came out, you know, from 11-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15, 16-year-olds, I was like, one, happy that they were free enough to say these things. But then it also made me realize that we have a task as a department to make sure that we're hitting home where we need to hit home and answering these real questions. Do you know what I mean? So that we can ensure that we're developing some well-rounded, undergirded, strong young people that know God for themselves, but also know how to navigate this world accordingly. So yeah, journey on, get the answers, speak to your youth leaders, speak to your pastors, speak to your church leaders, speak to people that are educated, man. There's plenty of people that are educated in these spaces that can give you guidance to answers, because the true answer should come from God. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's entry 9, man. You know, like, as I said, like, share, subscribe. Make sure you share it with people if you've been encouraged, and allow them to allow them to be encouraged as well. So yeah, next week we go. It's nearly Christmas. So yeah, next week is the last one before Christmas. So make sure you do your shopping. Don't be like me and wait till the last minute. Yeah. Peace and love. Later. Yes, people, thank you for listening. Be sure to tune in next week for the next entry of JM Journal. In the meantime, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget, keep journaling.